Hi, let us today discuss about the radius bone in detail. It is the lateral bone of the forearm, homologous with tibia of the leg. It is a long bone, hence has two ends and a shaft. The features of this bone is the upper end consists of a rounded head followed by constricted neck and radial tuberosity. The lower end is expanded and the lateral projection of the lower end is called the styloid process, and the prominent sharp border should be present medially and it is called interosseous border. So for the site determination, if you see, the head should lie above. This is a head which is rounded, having a cup-shaped depression superiorly. This should be lie above. It should not be like this. So head should be above, and the styloid process, hook-like projection along the inferior end of the bone should be present laterally. So the head should be above, the styloid process should be lateral, and sharp border, that is the interosseous border or the medial border, should face medially, and a tubercle seen along the posterior aspect at its inferior end, which is called as Lister's tubercle. This prominent tubercle is called Lister's tubercle or dorsal tubercle. It should lie posteriorly. So keeping all these things in consideration, I can say that this bone belongs to the right side. I repeat, the head should be above, the styloid process should be inferior and directed laterally, the sharp border or interosseous border should be medial, and prominent Lister's tubercle should be present along the posterior aspect of the bone at the inferior end. So keeping all these points into consideration, I can say that this is the right-sided radius homologous with the tibia of the leg. Coming to its features, if you see, I am drawing the anterior aspect of it. So this is the head, and if you see, this is a constricted portion below the head, that is the neck, and we have a tuberosity along its medial end in the upper part, which is called radial tuberosity. And this is the styloid process. Head, neck, radial tuberosity, this is shaft, this is sharp medial border, medial or interosseous border, and this is the lower end. This one is the styloid process. If you see the same thing from posterior side, this is the head, this is the radial tuberosity, and this is a styloid process. This one is the sharp Lister's tubercle. So for the site determination, again I say head should be above, sharp border should be medial, styloid process is projected downwards and laterally, and the prominent Lister's tubercle should lie posteriorly. Lister's or dorsal tubercle. Okay. Now coming to the description, this is coming to the upper end, the head. Upper end consists of head, neck and radial tuberosity. The head is rounded. It consists of superior surface which is depressed. It shows a cup-shaped depression which is lined with the articular cartilage, and it articulates with the capitulum of the humerus in extension. In flexion, it articulates with the anterior surface of capitulum, and in deep flexion, it lodges in the radial fossa present just above the capitulum. This is a radial fossa, this is a capitulum. So from the capitulum, it articulates with the capitulum on its inferior surface in extension. In flexion, it articulates with its anterior surface, and in deep flexion, it lodges in the radial fossa present here. This head of the radius forms a part of the elbow joint, forming the humero-radial component of the elbow joint. Okay. This head of the radius also forms superior radioulnar joint. This head of the radius articulates with the superior radioulnar joint. It articulates with this part. This is called as the radial notch of ulna. So it articulates with the radial notch of the ulna, and the periphery of this head of the radius is limited by the annular ligament, which extends from the anterior margin of the radial notch to the posterior margin of the radial notch like this. So within that, this head lies. So this head is limited by the annular ligament. This is annular ligament, and this thus forming the superior radioulnar joint, which is a pivot type of the joint, wherein within a osseo-ligamentous ring, this is osseous part formed by the radial notch of the ulna, and the ligament part is formed by the annular ligament. Within the osseo-ligamentous ring, this head of the radius rotates during the movement of pronation and supination, thus forming a type of pivot joint. And the other example of this pivot joint is atlanto-axial joint. That is the articulation between the first cervical vertebra and the second cervical vertebra. That is pivot type, and this one also is pivot type. The difference being, there within a fixed bone, osseo-ligamentous ring rotates. Here within a fixed ring, the bone rotates. Okay. So that is about the upper end, that is head. Next, this is neck. Neck is a constricted portion below the head. This annular ligament extends onto the neck and helps in preventing the dislocation of the superior radioulnar joint by being like a cup shaped, so that it helps in preventing the dislocation. And along the medial part of the head, the thickened part of this annular ligament, that is thickened along its medial end to form a quadrate membrane or ligament. Okay. Then we have this radial tuberosity. This radial tuberosity is having a smooth anterior part and a rough posterior part. This smooth anterior part is related to a bursa, and that bursa helps in proper action of the biceps in conducting the supination, and this rough radial tuberosity gives insertion of biceps brachii muscle. Okay, so to the radial tuberosity, anterior part is limited by a bursa, posterior rough part, it gives attachment or insertion to the biceps brachii. This is about the upper end. Now coming to the shaft. Shaft consists of three borders. This one is the anterior border, which extends from the below the radial tuberosity, runs downwards like this, and this forms the anterior oblique line and anterior border. And in the lower part, it becomes continuous and forms a crest-like thing in front of the crest-like border in front of the styloid process. So this in the lower part, it becomes a crest-like thing in crest-like border in front of this one, the crest-like border in front of the styloid process. So this is the anterior border. In the upper part, it is oblique. Hence this oblique anterior border here, this is called as anterior oblique line. Okay. To this anterior oblique line, the radial head of flexor digitorum superficialis is attached. The radial head of flexor digitorum superficialis is attached. Okay. So this is anterior border. Next border is the sharp medial border. This one, which extends from below the radial tuberosity, passes downwards, and in the lower part it splits into two. Here you can see it is splitting into anterior part and posterior part, thereby enclosing a triangular area above, and in the lower part the ulnar notch. Okay, so this sharp medial border or interosseous border, it gives attachment to interosseous membrane. It gives attachment to interosseous membrane, which runs downwards and medially, and along the upper part it leaves a gap. Above the interosseous membrane there is a small gap through which the posterior interosseous vessels passes. Posterior interosseous vessels are transmitted through a small gap situated along the upper end of the interosseous membrane, which is attached to the medial border. In the lower part, where the medial border is split into two, the interosseous membrane is attached to the posterior split. So to this posterior split, the interosseous membrane is attached. Elsewhere it is attached to the rest of the interosseous border. Okay. And to this small triangular surface seen along the medial end of the lower part of the radius, formed by the splitting of this interosseous border into anterior and posterior, this area receives the insertion of deep fibers of pronator quadratus. The pronator quadratus, the deep fibers are inserted into this small triangular area along the medial surface of the lower end of the radius. Okay, this is all about the interosseous border giving attachment to the interosseous membrane. This bone is attached to the ulna through this interosseous membrane. Thereby, this is forming a syndesmosis type of joint, wherein the two bones are wide apart and they are united by a membrane. Okay. Now the third border, we can see this one. It is a posterior border. I can say it also extends from the below the radial tuberosity, passes downwards and laterally, and in the lower part extends till the radial styloid process of the radius. So this is a posterior border. This can also be called as the posterior oblique line. So with these three borders, anterior border, medial border and posterior border, we have three surfaces now. This one is the anterior surface. This is anterior surface which lies between the anterior border and medial border. So this surface is anterior surface. This surface gives origin to the radial head of or the flexor pollicis longus muscle. Upper 3/4 or upper 2/3 of this gives origin to flexor pollicis longus muscle. So flexor pollicis longus muscle takes origin from the upper 3/4 of the anterior surface of the shaft.